What's up, Internet? Welcome to a very special short-form episode of the Steam Deck Podcast. We're here to talk about the news that Valve's new game, Deadlock, has leaked. Steve, I'd like to get your opinion first because I know you had a prediction earlier this year that we would be getting a new game from Valve, maybe a new IP from them. What do we know about it so far?
Yeah, so if you'll remember when I made that prediction, we'd seen a couple of months prior, I think it was around last September, October, that they'd registered the trademark Neon Prime. Looks like this is the game that was formerly known as Neon Prime, and they're now calling it Deadlock. Apparently, it's going to be a competitive third-person hero-based shooter. 6v6 battles on huge maps with 4 lanes, usable abilities and items, tower defense mechanisms, fantasy setting with steampunk. Apparently it's going to be similar in vibes to something like BioShock Infinite, according to Insider Gaming and Gabe Follow over on Twitter. It's going to be fast-paced gameplay, combination of Dota 2, Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, Valorant, Smite.
That part is very interesting to me because, like,
I was going to say it feels like a Pete game more than anyone else game.
Yeah, like it does kind of sound like it's my vibe, and it's interesting the way that it's combining elements of the third person like hero shooter like in Overwatch, but then having that language of like lanes and stuff that feels more akin to like a MOBA or, you know, like the tower defense element. That's so interesting to me because the idea of there being like laning and you know, those kind of more traditional MOBA roles, perhaps, right? Not something we've seen a lot of.
These are Valve genres, right? Team Fortress 2, Dota
Sure.
2. These are Valve games. It's like the two sort of genres that they, that they are very, very good at, multiplayer wise, and combining them. And if this is, them coming back in a big way. I know they've only just released CS2, and it'll be cool to see them sort of maybe try and take back that market that they had for such a while.
I think what an opportunity for them to do it right now too, when you see like just how bad Overwatch 2 has turned out, right?
Mm-hmm.
That like that game, was in a lot of ways looked at as kind of a spiritual successor to Team Fortress 2, and there's been a lot of those questions of like, will we ever get a TF3? Is we saw someone else kind of revitalize the genre that they created, right? Or at least popularized, and it would be really interesting to see them do something like that maybe also borrows from a few more modern genres.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to run well on Steam Deck, we can assume, right?
Yeah, I think
hope.
they said in an interview with Eurogamer that all of their games are targeting the Steam Deck as kind of where they want them to run. If you remember, it was Lawrence Yang was talking about the fact that they've got multiple projects in the works that all run on Steam Deck. So this one should run really well on Steam Deck, and you would imagine that all of their games going forwards will do. Because even CS2 runs great on deck, and that's obviously their kind of latest game with the cutting edge Source engine. It's interesting though because it looks like they've kind of changed tack quite a bit with this game. It could mean that there's been a bit of a troublesome dev cycle. Obviously, it was known as Neon Prime. Gabe Follower says that it was initially sci-fi inspired by Half-Life and Portal, but after bad feedback, they've shifted it and focused on fantasy, and it's now more inspired by the Dota universe. But that the map references like a European city that's going to be like Half-Life.
They specifically mention a mix of steampunk, magician, weird creatures, and robots. So it's like, to me, it very much feels, like that's akin to what you see in stuff like League of Legends or Dota or Overwatch or whatever, where it's like you don't necessarily want to pigeonhole yourself into one genre too much because, like if this game is successful and it sticks around for a long time, they're going to have like a regular rollout of new heroes and and like new maps and the super wide universe of something like League of Legends has like obviously been to their benefit as they've introduced over 100+ characters right over the years, and you get all these different like realms that you can pull from, and nothing feels out of place because it is this kind of multiversal mashup kind of thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and I really hope this happens because this was one of my predictions for the year, and I've got nothing on the board so far. We will check in on those at some point over on the Flip Screen Games podcast, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Gabe come through for me with a new game because it feels like ages since we've had a fresh new game from Valve.
I mean, it has
Like, it
been.
was that card game that they did, right? That kind of fell flat on its face.
Artifact.
Yeah, that was the last one.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Half-Life Alyx, right, is the last one before that. So it's been quite some
Yeah,
time.
but even then, that
Oh,
was
yeah,
just
of
like
course.
that was basically Half-Life 3 in VR that they'd built. Like, it was a genre and a format that they knew and they had built games in before. This feels like a very fresh take and a combination of genres that I think if they execute it well will be very successful for them. Because no doubt it'll be free to play, and no doubt it'll be front and center on Steam and on your Steam Deck. And when you boot it up, you just install it and play it, and thousands of people will do so.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about how the last couple of years it's been a struggle for games as a service to kind of come out and succeed, and like it's an increasingly crowded market, and people have less money to spend. So having the kind of weight of Valve and of the marketing machine that is Steam placement, I think is a huge advantage for a game like this to come out the gate and connect with a large audience, and hopefully prove that it has staying power. So definitely a story I'd like to see develop more. To your point, I hope we hear more about it this year. I would love to see maybe the announcement of like an early access point or something like that later this year, because definitely sounds like a game I'm interested in getting my hands on.
Absolutely.
So if you guys are interested in what you think, or you know what, here I'm gonna just take that last part one more time. That was a little funky. Okay. So if you guys want to write in and let us know what you think about Valve's new game Deadlocked, or I guess the new code name Deadlock, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Is it a game type you're interested in? Is new software from Valve something that you're hoping for, or are you fine to see them continue to focus on hardware? I'd love to know in the comments down below. So make sure you write in and let us know.